I'm on Facebook too. Just juggling some stuff. I decided to come on and talk to you guys about the full moon in Capricorn. Let's see if I'm live. It would appear that I am. Oh yeah, okay. It looks like it's working. That's great. That's great. Facebook makes it really difficult on me, by the way. Try to go live and keep up with the comments and things of that nature, but they don't show them to me half the time. So if you're trying to interact with me during the live, I'm apologetic because it's really not that easy. Facebook deleted me back in October, and they just make it really difficult. You have to like get a new phone if you want to have the Facebook app. But when Facebook deletes you, they block your app on your phone. It's just a pain. So I come live on Instagram and Facebook, both owned by the same thing, but I will put this up on YouTube later. Okay. All right. So anyway, let's talk about this full moon in Capricorn, which boy, is it juicy. Now I will say this, in terms of like busyness, we are getting to a slowdown. Okay. So it's been busy. We've been in sort of like vice grips over the last month or two, 800 months, the last 800 months. And we are coming down from that. Now, July is going to still be a little bit of that, but by the time we get to August and September, lots of stuff are retrograding, and we are just sort of taking a step back and thinking about some things. So I would say that this full moon is the first little step towards, I don't know. I don't like to predict because goodness knows in this world, you can't. Astrologers that say they can predict, I don't get it. I just don't think you can predict how things are going to feel. But I do think this full moon will be quite cathartic. Let me put it that way. So let me remind you why. And that is because we've been in eclipse season, and eclipses in astrology are huge reset buttons. They are times of fated events. They can be quite difficult depending on where they are in your chart. These were particularly confusing and disorienting because of the nature of the signs they were in, which were Gemini, Sagittarius. They both have to do with thinking and knowing and knowledge and speaking and talking. And those were square to Jupiter and Neptune, which are in Pisces, are quite confusing, disorienting, mystical energy, messages, synchronicities. I called it a carnival. That's what it felt like. Lots of weird carnival action. And sometimes the carnival was scary. It was for me. So anyway, we're coming out of those woods. The other thing that was happening was Mercury retrograde there with the eclipses, right? So it's been quite like, I had some physical things going on, and this is why you should pay attention to where your rising sign is, because all Cancer risings had these eclipses happening in their 6th house of health, 12th house of spirituality, retreat, not the easiest place to be. So, and I will go through the rising signs later for this full moon. So yeah, my physical body took a beating. My emotional body took a beating, and I was struggling there for the last week. So I'm looking forward to this full moon. I feel like it will be a little bit of a release. So I was just looking back. January 12th was the last new moon in Capricorn. And so if you look at these moon cycles as a 6-month cycle, you started this process back in January 12th. Now, I was really thinking about what was going on back in January. And January 12th being the new moon also had Venus there with it in Capricorn and Pluto. Okay. So lots of Capricorn energy back at the new moon in Capricorn, January 12th. That was right on the heels of the January 6th insurrection at the Capitol. And what we had to set intentions around, or what we were, whether you were trying to or not setting intentions around, were who you would give power, pretty much. Okay. Who am I going to give my power to? Who am I going to allow to provide for my needs? So the Cancer Capricorn archetypes are related to your needs. Cancer is the mother, nurturing your emotional needs, and how you are emotionally secure in yourself, I would say. And then Capricorn is the structure that would provide the needs. Capricorn is the government. It is the parental figures, sometimes related to the father. Capricorn is the knees. Okay. So it's that support. That's what Capricorn is. And it's an earth sign. And with the nature of Capricorn also ruling government and authority, Pluto and Venus being there January 12th, it was on everyone's mind. Who am I giving my authority? What do I place my, whose hands do I place my trust in? What kind of structures do I want for my life? What kind of structures do I need to provide for my safety, to provide for my family? I mean, very realistic things back in January that we were thinking about. What are the rules for myself? What are my boundaries? How will I structure my life? January 12th, 2021, that was the intentions we were setting, okay? Whose power do I let wield themselves over me? Well, now with this full moon in Capricorn, I find it so interesting that Venus is exactly opposite to where the new moon in Capricorn was, okay? So Venus is in Cancer where it was in Capricorn before. And then also the full moon is just on top of where Venus was at the new moon in Capricorn. So we've got this sort of changing of the guard going on, okay? So the sun in Cancer is shining its light onto this Capricorn full moon. And it is informed by Venus in Cancer, and it is informed by Saturn in Aquarius. So Saturn in Aquarius was also present there at the new moon in Capricorn. So not only were we setting intentions on who we want to give power, what our rules are, what structures provide what we need, but also the future of all of that. What projects are we starting? What does our future look like? Okay, so blessings to you. I saw someone just said bless. I love it. I love it whenever people chat with me. It like opens up the doors, and that's really nice. Breaks down the walls. So let me see where I was. I was talking about the future of what we were building. And if you think about it, what we're doing with this full moon is assessing whether or not our needs can handle all of this. Our emotions can handle all of this. We're going to build this new future, and this is what we're going to do. And these are our plans. And I can take on all of this responsibility, which is also a Capricorn thing. And we may have thought we could in January. We had all of these ideas, all these plans for the future. Well, now with the full moon in Capricorn, the sun shining its Cancer light onto the moon, and it's like, is this really, can I handle this? Is this nurturing to me? These plans, this future, these rules, do I need to redraw my boundaries? It's a reassessment. It's shining a light on this now that we're here 6 months later. And we are at the longest day, right? We just had the solstice. And that's, by the way, what Cancer and Capricorn mark. They mark the solstices. So it is the longest day in the northern hemisphere, but it's the shortest in the southern. Okay. So we have this duality going on, and the solstices bring up the duality. And, okay, now that I'm here in the summer and I see all of the flourishing, I see all of the potential, all of the saturated moisture, and maybe where there's not moisture. How do I rearrange all of this so that I am supported, so that my needs are supported, and these structures need to change, these rules need to change? Or I don't know about this power that I've given this person, because Venus is now opposing Pluto at this full moon. Okay. Actually, let me have up the full moon too, because I've got the new moon back on the 12th. I wanted to pull up the full moon. Yeah, 3 degrees Capricorn. By the way, the full moon's exact at Central Time tomorrow, 1:39 p.m., June 24th, Thursday. So what we can be doing is letting go of some of these plans We can see the culmination of it, realize either it is working or it is not working. And with Saturn retrograde now, we can reassess our plans for the future, reassess how we're going to build. Are we going to tweak these plans? And it's really, really awesome the way that astrology works, the way that the stars move, the way that the cycles and patterns move, because not only is Saturn retrograde, but Jupiter's retrograde. And Jupiter will be retrograde in Pisces until the end of July. I'm sorry. Yes, the end of July. So I believe July 28th, around then. I may or may not have my date exact. But as soon as that happens, as soon as Jupiter goes back into Aquarius, we are really going to be reworking our plans. So this full moon is assessment. That's what I'm going to call it. It is an assessment. A lot of times it's culmination, a lot of times it's letting go, but we are really assessing, okay, is this plan going to work for us? Even the ones that we thought were right on, maybe in January, I had an idea for a business and I was going to go after it. And here I am in June and I'm tired and overworked and stressed. Is this business still what you want to do? Right? It's a reassessment period. Maybe it is. Maybe you just need to rework some of the plans to fit your needs. We are reminded that we need to feed ourselves. We need to nurture ourselves. Both of these signs, Cancer and Capricorn, are related to work. Whether or not you're in the northern or southern hemisphere, one of these days is going to be the longest day, which, if you think about it, before we had electricity as humans, before electricity existed, when we wanted to get the most work done, maybe in the summer where we need to tend to our fields, the longest light is going to be that time. We're going to do the most work, right? So the longest day. So whether that's northern or southern, it could be Cancer or Capricorn, depending, right? And then likewise, during the Capricorn time is the shortest day. It's when we can't get any work done. And so, of course, during the new moon in Capricorn on January 12th, we were like, yeah, let's do all this stuff. We had all these plans when the light is full and we're going to do it. The light gets full and we're exhausted. And we go, maybe that wasn't the thing. Or the light is full and we realize all the responsibility we brought on ourselves and all of the work and all of the toil that we had invited on ourselves. So it is okay to reassess and change your rules. It's okay to reassess and change your plans. Who cares what you've told people you're going to do? Who cares how optimistic you were? Who cares? Who cares? Who cares? You have to take care of your needs. You have to go through periods of reassessment to make sure it's working for yourself. Okay? So, like, for instance, I thought I was done playing music for a while. Okay. Like back in January, I was like, you know what, perhaps this is just not my thing anymore. I mean, I'm an astrologer now. So for those of you who don't know me or who do, I'm a musician as well. And, I got really burnt out over the years playing music. I gigged a lot and, kind of got tired of being in bars at 2 a.m. playing and just exhausted and also doing the daily grind. Right. So back in January, I really was convinced that I didn't know that it was for me anymore. Well, come the light of the full moon, and here I am. I have gotten back into it. And I'm really enjoying it. And, it doesn't matter what I said to myself back in January. It doesn't matter. What matters is how I feel now. You have to live in the moment, right? So I'm going back into it and I'm really enjoying it. I'm feeling really creative again. And I am reminded of the reasons I thought I wasn't. Okay. So maybe this time around, I reassess how much I do it, how I do it, what times I do it, where I do it, and all of those things. Right. So we have to think of the details now. And I think all of the plans we've had, all of the goals we've had, even through this really crazy year of not knowing, what we could and could not accomplish, it requires a certain flexibility that typically we don't allow ourselves. We say, here's this rule, and I've told this person this thing. I told him I would get it to him by Tuesday, and here it is the night before, and I'm tired and I can't do it, and I'm feeling sick. And what do I do? Well, my rule is unless someone is going to die, the rule can be changed. Right? Unless it hurts someone physically or emotionally, irreparably, you can change your rule. You can change it. You can change the deadline. You can change it to fit in with what you need. Okay. And I know that's kind of an extreme way to look at things. I mean, you might say, well, if I do that, I'll lose my job. Okay, well, something's got to give. That's my Capricorn phrase. Okay, something has to give. A structure can only support so much. Your shoulders can only support so much, right? So there's where the Cancer archetype comes in, and that is the needs. You know, we need sustenance, we need rest, we need water to live. We need to move emotion. We need space to feel and to do and to think and to wonder and to play. Right. So these things are in constant balance every year. We don't even really, I mean, if you don't follow astrology, you do still, because you're still a certain way in the winter and a certain way in the summer. And you may make promises that you can't keep in the winter in the summer, and so on and so forth. So isn't it interesting that I always say too, in 2 weeks after this full moon, which is tomorrow, we're going to have a new moon in Cancer. I always say we ask for what we want at Christmas in the summer. We're already asking for it. We're already thinking about it, right? We may not be consciously aware of it, but that's what we're doing. So that being said, I do want to focus on a couple of other things rather than just where the full moon is. I think I briefly mentioned it, Saturn and Aquarius. That is us trying to innovate our structures. We need innovation. We need newness. We need freshness. We're seeing all of the shifts out in the public. And, you know, with Uranus and Taurus and the square between those two, don't worry about the terminology if you don't understand what I'm saying. Listen to my explanation. My explanation is social upheaval. We are pushing for freedom. We are reevaluating things as a human condition. Like all humans are doing this somewhere. Okay. Reevaluating what is worth what to us. How much is our time worth? How much is our work worth? And then, okay, what do I need to live? How much am I going to count on the government? How much am I going to give authority to my boss? How am I going to work myself to death, right? So if you look at all of these work issues coming up, that is a larger cycle that started in January, and it's the Uranus-Saturn square. One's pushing for freedom. One is demanding work, and they're going to adjust around each other, and we're going to keep having this push-pull. And I think workers' rights and maybe a reevaluation of labor and what it means to work, that is a larger cycle happening. Okay, so when we look at the full moon in Capricorn, you can expect those issues to come up in the news, in you know, talking to people. There's mine workers from Alabama protesting the investment company BlackRock in New York right now. And it's because what we're giving our power to as a species is greed. I mean, that's really what we're feeding these people, all of our money, all of our dollars, all of our power. And we're saying, sure, we'll be a cog and we'll work for you until we die. No, we can't do that, can we? No, we can't. And of course, we're awakening to that. And I think this full moon is going to shine a light on that. It's a Saturn ruled full moon. And Saturn is work, authority, structure, government, right? Who are we giving our power to? What do we need as a species? Well, we don't need to be spending the majority of our time working our fingers to the bone to add to someone else's purse. That's not what we're here for. Now, yes, it's easier said than done. I mean, people should work. Well, let me tell you something. If people, if people were working their fields before these corporations, I mean, look, we've always had to readjust this as humans. Like always, it's always a push pull. We give people too much power and then we have to take it back. Look at the storming of the Bastille, right? And that was a long time ago, relatively speaking. And before that, I think you can even look back to Aztec times, and there were, kings that had all of the good things and the turquoise and the cacao, and they had all of it, right? And they hoarded it. And so it always seems like there's always power to be given and taken. And right now, that's what we're doing. That's what we're really trying to assess. Who's got the power? Why? So let me bring up this other thing, okay? And that is how we give our power, right? Yes, working is one way, but another way that is like really being swept under the rug right now is that the housing market, there are companies, BlackRock being one of them, that are buying up whole neighborhoods and renting out the houses. So they're buying whole neighborhoods, they're paying like 30% above price so they can rent them out. Not everyone can buy a house, but especially when you're competing with a billion-dollar company that has money to spend, right? So many little things. Pay attention. That's what we need to do. We need to pay attention. If at all possible, if you're renting, keep a watch, buy something. I don't want these people to have power. I want these people to own whole neighborhoods so that they can raise the price willy-nilly. It's hard. It's hard because not everyone can buy, because you have to have credit to buy. And you know what you have to do to get credit? Right. It's a cycle, and it is maddening. And not everyone's lucky enough to be able to have it. Not everyone's lucky enough or has the station enough. And it is luck. Like, that's what it is. You can't pull your bootstraps up enough to, go to Harvard. Like, it's just not the way it works. This full moon in Capricorn is shining a light on all of that. At least I hope it does. Maybe I'm a part of that light. I don't know. But it's just maddening. So it's going to take organization, and that is Saturn in Aquarius. Aquarius is community, and it is the community at large, not your tiny little community, but your tiny little community matters as well, because the community at large is made up of a bunch of tiny communities. Okay. So are you involved in your community? I practice what I preach. I have to. I give a lot of my time to my community. And it's thankless sometimes, like I laugh at myself and I go, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? This is hard. This is hard. A low power mode, whatever. But I do it. You have to do it, right? It's like, that's the whole, if you're from the South, then you know what, is this thing working right? Then you know what the idea, the Christian idea of tithing is. Tithing is, giving back. You give back to the church. That idea and religion in general isn't inherently wrong. In fact, it makes a good point, right? So you can tithe with your time. And I don't mean to a church. I mean to your community, to your fellow man. I mean having a servant's heart. That's what I mean. It's going to take that. So let me read you the Sabian symbol for this full moon. And this is what I'm getting at with the whole bringing up the land and the housing and the working and the mine workers. And, it's Cancer time. Of course, I'm getting emotional because it matters. Everyone should know about this. Everyone should care. Okay. And the Sabian symbol for the 3rd degree of Capricorn, it's actually read Capricorn 4, is a group of people entering a large canoe for a journey by water. So this degree shows journeying with others. Each person brings with them their individual stories, their needs, and their wants. They come together to accomplish something, to set out somewhere. To embark on a journey with a number of people is to embark on an emotional discovery, along with learning the rules of society about interacting with others. With cooperation and everyone heading in the same direction, there can be great success. You may find episodes when different and separate aspects of your personality come together to explore where you're going. The trick is, are you all headed in the same direction? Cooperation. So this is about a shared goal, okay? So being on a journey of destiny is another phrase you can associate with this degree. traveling, living together, travels on the water, rowing together, workshops, sharing the destinations. That is what this full moon in Capricorn is bringing up. It is a cooperative journey that we're all on, and we have to actually cooperate. We have to all be headed in the same direction. So, I encourage you to look very closely at squabbles you get in on the internet. Okay. I encourage you to look very closely at how you can steer your community into the same direction. What's the goal? If the goal is love, how can we get to that goal? Right? I think of how we can be wounded by others and how it's taken a lot of work to get to this place where we're even seeing the disparities in our world, and how some people can't even be themselves, and some people, they can go be at the all white rally and it's totally fine, right? No, it's not. So we have to call out the disparities. And this is the duality, because in the same breath, we also all have to be working to go in the same direction. How do you do that? How do you do that? Well, it takes cunning. Mercury is direct at this full moon. So we have to think, we have to communicate, we have to learn to communicate with love, with that servant's heart. It is so important to hear someone, let them know you're listening, and then to also educate. It's very important to do both of those things in the same breath. But education from a place of hatred is going to do nothing but separate. So education is important, and so is love. And if you keep remembering both of those things, then you're starting to get on the boat with everybody, and we're all starting to row in the same direction. So I just encourage you to look at the tiny little distractions that may not be what we need. Like if you're all trying to get to an island because your island's run out of food, well, and you're all having to row, you can't really complain about how you don't like being on the water, right? Like there are things that we have to do to all get us going in the same direction. And that direction for me is everyone in their own personal empowering place. And that is possible. And it may be like this very Aquarian ideal, like, can there be utopia? Can there be? Can we all respect one another, love one another, all have our own spot on this earth, all have enough food, all have enough water? I think we can. It's there. The resources are there. But so is the greed. And it is in taking control from a place of love that our power really lies. So that might mean helping someone out, when they're low on cash. Okay. It might mean reminding someone else of someone's preferred pronouns. And it might be letting people live with you when they're having a hard time. It might also be, and here's the kicker, kicking people out. It might be not giving people money that you've given too much to. Okay. This is all your journey. So you have to decide what the thing is, right? Are you taking enough care of yourself? Are you taking too much care? Right? It's a balancing act. There is no greater example of balance than the movement of our sun and our moon and our day and our night and our seasons. The Cancer solstice in the northern hemisphere is the longest day. The Capricorn solstice in the northern hemisphere is the shortest. The Libra and Aries equinox are equal day and equal night. So all of these extremes, even the extremely long day, eventually gets balanced out. And then we go the other direction. And it's just a pendulum swing every year, right? And it is in finding that rhythm, making sure you're in that rhythm. Are you looking at yourself? Are you looking at others? Are you investing in yourself? Are you investing in your community? Are you playing like a child? Are you being the parent? Are you doing the right thing for your heart? And are you giving enough for other hearts? Okay. It is that balance, that sweet balance. That is the spot. And that is what the solstices remind me of. That's what Capricorn and Cancer remind me of. It reminds me of the baby and the parent, and the needs and the structure, how we meet needs and how we communicate our needs, all of those things. So let me also talk about another thing, and that is Mars and Leo. So Mars is action, and it can be ego. Mars is passion, it's motivation, it is the god of war, so it can be anger, it's inflammation, it's fire, it is all of those things. And it is in Leo, and Leo is play. Now, Mars traditionally is known as a malefic, which means it's a troublemaker, okay? I would argue sometimes we need trouble. You can't have you can't always be the saint, and you can't always be the warrior, but you need a little bit of everything. And that's the whole balancing act I'm talking about. Mars in Leo is putting our desires in creativity, fun, enjoyment, excitement. It's in our inner child. It's in play. It can be a little bit of self-serving, attention-seeking behavior. Again, I would argue that's needed. Very soon after this full moon, Mars is going to come into an opposition with Saturn. And that's going to feel like an obstacle. It's going to feel like authority kind of looming over you. And also it's going to make a T-square with Uranus, which is freedom, right? So I would expect, and I believe it's this weekend. Let me just double check. Before I go through the signs, I want to go ahead and give a little overview so that you guys know what to look for. No, it's not this weekend. It's just after, but it is applying to it. Okay, so you got the full moon. And then I would say, by the way, very soon after the full moon this weekend, the moon moves into Aquarius. And that could be a little bit of an emotionally reactive time since it opposes Mars. And it sits there and it'll meet Saturn. So then on Sunday, actually, oh my God, is that Saturday night? Venus moves into Leo as well. And this is an important cycle. Venus and Mars, they meet each other. And they will meet each other much later. But I think watching these movements is great. So Venus moving into Leo, that's looks like Saturday night, like 11:30 p.m. Central time, that is. Venus moves into Leo. And Venus is going to add a little sweetness to the Mars troublemaking. And that's going to be nice, I think. But yeah, I think that is a key through these transits, is the play, is the creativity, is remembering that we all have that in us. And Leo rules the heart chakra. It's love. Okay. So putting yourself in other people's shoes, doing the hard thing. But if we want to push for a better world, we have to. You have to see the little kid in everybody. And then you have to do what the little kid demands inside yourself. So sometimes you have to say, I need, I want. And sometimes you have to say, they need, they want. And that's the beauty of the Venus-Mars conjunction in Leo, is it brings those two things together. Okay. So hopefully with that conjunction, we'll be united. And I do believe that's mid-July sometime. We'll be united in that inner child territory, that heart chakra territory. But before then, it's like we got to figure it out, and we may be a little triggered. So if you come up with triggering moments, note them. That's your inner child speaking. That really doesn't want that authority, that wants the freedom here. that wants to be paid attention to, that wants to be doing this creative thing, fun thing, whatever it is, pay attention. That's something that's coming. The other important thing coming, that's just Saturday, Venus moves into Leo. So then after that, the other important thing is going to be Wednesday, and that's Mars opposite Saturn. And that is going, I don't like to, I'm the optimistic astrologer. That's what I call myself, because I am. I mean, my name's Ecstatic Astrology for my business, which means ecstasy, which means standing outside yourself. Okay. Which in one way can be great, but people can reach that ecstatic experience in many ways, and pain is one of them. Okay. So let's talk about that, because Mars opposing Saturn with a T-square with Uranus on Wednesday is going to be tense. This indicates an extreme need for breaking free from something, and authority saying, no, you can't, or no, you shouldn't, or, but what about the plans, or this or that. Okay. So rebelling is going to feel like a major theme. It just so happens that at that time, the moon will also be in Aries Wednesday, which is a fire sign, which could add to that reactivity, right? So with Mars being in Leo, it's like, hey, I want to play, I want to goof off, I want to have fun, I want to be creative, I want to be in my inner child, I want to be out in the sun. And why can't we all just get along and love, love, love? And Saturn in Aquarius is like, but there are rules and you have to do your taxes, and that is not what's in the bylaws. And that is, you went over the speed limit there. That's Saturn. That's literally the nature of Saturn and Mars. Okay, so Mars is hitting the gas on fun, and Saturn's like, but the bigger picture is more important. So we need to pay attention to that. Uranus at the T-square is like, hey, all y'all, I don't care. We're going to just have an earthquake. Really doesn't matter how fast you're going or that it's the law when the earth is erupting. Okay. And the reason I say that is Uranus is upheaval, and Taurus, where it's at, is earth. So I think my point being, you may have this inner child thing going on. You may have authority looming over you or responsibility looming over you. Keep it in perspective, because the earth is still a part of this equation. And I think really looking at what you value is going to help. So, hey, I value the fact that I have food on my table, and finding the good is going to be helpful in that moment on Wednesday when it's kind of weird, kind of tense. Uranus was last in Taurus during the Great Depression. Again, I don't say that to be scary. I say that to let you know that things are always, they're always balancing in some way, right? So look at the earth, look at what we're doing to our water systems, look at what we're doing to lots of stuff, our bodies with the processed food we eat. Are you even spending time outdoors? So if you're having a moment on Wednesday where you're feeling under the gun, feeling pressure, my advice is to commune with the earth on Wednesday. It could give you some insight. Maybe a caterpillar gives you inspiration for something, right? I know that might sound crazy, but I'm here to tell you crazy things to get you out of your ruts. That's what I'm here to do. Wednesday, take a look at a leaf. Okay. Seriously. Because, we can get caught up in weird things right now. We're caught up in Facebook and Twitter, and we're caught up in Fox News and CNN, and we're caught up in Biden and Mitch McConnell. We're caught up in, I got to make the money. And we're caught up in, what about the hustle? And, all of those things. Don't forget that we're here on earth to experience earth and people. And I think it's a smart idea to take a look at your assets around this time. Okay. And when I say that, I mean, really take a look. What are your assets? What do you value. If you value only money, you are going to be left behind. Okay. There's going to be a rapture for rich people. And it ain't gonna be good. That's just how I'm viewing this. Okay. So what are your assets? Do you have knowledge of reality that is not, I pay dollar to get food? It's important. There are free resources. You can learn how to garden. You can learn how to, what herbs help you. You can learn astronomy. I'm not even talking astrology. You can learn the motion of the stars and know what time of year it is without stepping outside and feeling the air. Okay. I'm suggesting communing with reality during this time, because Aquarius is not reality. That's Saturn, where Saturn is right now. Aquarius is aliens. Okay. Meaning Aquarius is already looking at the next innovation. Fine, great. But it's still important to remember we are in this 3D reality. We are on Earth, and you may need to go stand outside on the ground, play in the dirt. And that's just Wednesday. Beyond that, that Mars, Uranus, Saturn T-square lasts for quite a while. It lasts straight through July 4th. So you can count on a week of that. You're talking this coming Wednesday through at least next Wednesday, at least. And then Venus joins the mix. So let's go. Venus tends to be, opposing Saturn, not fun, I guess. So let's look at through July 9th. So yeah, straight through the next new moon is this sort of squeeze. It is more squeezing, like I was saying. So, and then beyond that, Mercury moves into Cancer July 11th, but that's also just after the new moon. So I think that's really the biggest story right now is going to be Mars in a T-square with Saturn and Uranus. And it's going to be asking us where are we looking for freedom? Where are we looking to break free? Where do we want to count on structure? Who do we want to give power? All of those things. Are we working together with people? Or do we have a tribe that understands and supports us? That's another important piece of the reality puzzle, by the way. It's fine to be an island, whatever. But it's extremely helpful to have other islands around that you can, barter with. And what I mean by that is we need community. We need people. And so again, I'm getting back into that, give back to your community in any way you can right now, because you may need them. Might be a good thing to learn your neighbors' names. So let me go through the rising signs for this full moon. Starting with Aries rising, Aries sun. This is in your 10th house, this full moon. And so if you had some notion back in January about starting something in terms of career or even future goals and networking, you may be reevaluating that, okay? Or just shining a light on what that has created for you and if it still fits. Career, networking, goals, public authority, public image, ambition, all of these things. Is it working with your inner world? Is it working with home? Is it working with your joy? That's what you need to be looking at. Again, don't forget, you can change rules. This full moon is meant to show you this is what you get with that intention. Do you want to rethink that intention? Because you have a chance to during the new moon in Cancer, July 10th. So yeah, that's where this full moon is. And also, I might say you're reworking some goals. at this full moon. You're definitely tweaking that. Maybe even who you associate with, your tribe, 11th house stuff, because that's where Saturn is for you. All right, Taurus rising. This could also be for Taurus sun. This is in your 9th house. So you're talking about your belief system. You may have set out an intention in January with, I believe these are my rules. This is what I believe about authority. This is what I know about authority, either your own or outside of yourself, and maybe making some sort of intention there. And I would even go as far as to say career as well, because that's where Saturn is for you right now. So this full moon is shining a light on that. Is it working? Is it working for you? Do you need to rethink some of the ways you're doing things? Do you need to learn some more? Have you decided, you know what, I need to do a little more talking to this person about this if I want to keep going this way? Definitely higher learning, education, beliefs, adventure, travel, new horizons. That's where this full moon is for you. So something's culminating in that area. And even though I know full moons aren't generally times to tweak, this one is, because Saturn's retrograde, and that's the ruler of this full moon. So I think it's meant to show us the culmination, what we get, and if we want to change it, we have power to. Gemini rising or Gemini sun, this is in your 8th house. This is about power for you. Definitely how you share yourself, how you share your resources, and then also a bit about beliefs, because Saturn is in your 9th house. So you're talking investments, contracts, all of that could be coming to a culmination somehow. I'm even getting like if business partnerships maybe, coming into the spotlight, whether they're working or not. And then you're going to have to go tweak some things about what you believe about the world. And also Cancer for you is your 2nd house, which is your emotional security needs. And you really need financial security for that. So take a look at your assets and if you need to tweak something there as well. Okay, Cancer rising or Cancer sun. This full moon is in your 7th house of relationship. So you may have thought, this is my relationship with this back in January. And it could be contracts, how you share yourself. Like maybe if, for instance, if you had someone that you loaned money to and they're not paying you back, all of these things could come up for Cancer risings. This full moon is about cooperation, relationships, agreements that you make. And then you're going to have to probably rethink some of the contracts that you have, how you share yourself, 8th house stuff, because that's where Saturn is for you. Inheritance, investments, resources, things like that. Leo rising and Leo suns. This full moon is in your 6th house of work, service, habits, healing, health, rituals. So for instance, I love this for Leo risings, because if you started something like, I can imagine you started writing in your journal back in January, and now that cycle could be coming to an end. You're like, I really don't need to write in the journal every day. That could be something that's happening for this full moon for you. It could also have a little to do with relationships, since Saturn is retrograde in your 7th house. There may be a little work to do there and you're tweaking something. So think about maybe even relationship with coworkers. So I would just say definitely work what you're doing every day. Something's coming to a culmination there, and you may be rethinking plans there. Virgo rising, Virgo sun. This is about joy for you, children, inner child, purpose, romance. So you can talk about romantic partners as well with this full moon, creativity, courage. So, if you set some intention, or you thought the rules were a certain way for this area of your life, children, like, like an extreme metaphor could be, you said back in January you'd never have children. At this full moon, you're like, wait a minute, I might want children. Obviously that's extreme, but it has a lot to do with the inner child, kids, romance, joy. So if you had rules around that, or maybe we're thinking it has to be this certain way back in January, this full moon could show you, oh, maybe I have a different thought about this. Maybe something in my everyday life is making me realize I need to take time for fun, for joy. So that could be the case for Virgo risings or Virgo suns. I would say it's definitely shining a light on what your goals are as well, because that's where the sun is in Cancer and Venus is in Cancer. And it's like, hey, are these goals really bringing you joy? That's for the Virgo risings to decide. All right, Libra rising, Libra sun. This is in your 4th house. That's emotional security, integrity, home, and family. For you, this could be having to do with setting an intention around your home or around the relationship with your family, the people in your home, ancestry. You're talking all of those sort of things, mom, dad, siblings, all that. And there was an intention that you set back in January, like this is how it's going to be. Well, this full moon is shining a light on that. And maybe, I'm so tired of my battery being, I don't have a good, anyway, I'm almost done. What was I saying about Libra? Oh, you were setting intentions on your home area. Saturn retrograde in your 5th house. There could be something that changed in your heart that's making you want to shift the way you think about your home and family. It definitely has a lot of inner child connotations here. So with Cancer on your 10th house, there could be something not meeting your emotional needs in your career. Or maybe your career is taking more precedence over home family stuff. But I would say that's what the full moon is shining a light on. It's about your emotional security and home and family life. You may be rethinking some plans around that. Scorpio rising, Scorpio sun. This is in your 3rd house of communication, the way you think. Siblings are another thing for the 3rd house of community. So if you were setting intentions about that in January, you may be rethinking those now. Something's coming to a culmination there. And it could also have something to do with your home, because Saturn is retrograde in your 4th house. So it's maybe like, I need to really make a decision on if I'm redoing this deck or not. I know that sounds mundane, but sometimes transits are that mundane. But I would definitely look to how you communicate and how you are listening as well. Also, the 3rd house is the house of the goddess. So whatever that means to you, that's where this full moon is. It may be calling for more community involvement, maybe less. Maybe you need to be taking some short trips. Maybe you need to be talking or listening more, but communication is a big deal right now in the way you think. So your mind's probably buzzing, Scorpio risings. Sagittarius rising, Sagittarius sun. 2nd house, self-sufficiency, money, values, security. Okay. That's what this full moon is shining a light on. So do you have the assets you need? Did you set intentions for an investment that didn't pay off? Right? Maybe you need to rethink your investments. Maybe you need to rethink what you value. That's where Sagittarius is having this full moon. So you may have to do a little shift in the way you think. Saturn's retrograde in your 3rd house. Capricorn rising, Capricorn sun. This is your 1st house of self. It is who you are, independence, autonomy. And it's really saying, hey, look at you. What are you doing? Did you set intentions to be a certain way in January or to appear a certain way? Maybe you were like, I'm going to cut my hair. And here at this full moon, you're like, I don't really like this haircut. The audio's going in and out. Dang. I wonder if that's better. I just muted it and unmuted it. We'll see. I will put this up on YouTube later if you miss yours or if this audio gets messed up. So that was Capricorn. Yeah, this is about you, your instincts, your autonomy, being in yourself, being your authentic self. You may have to do a little rethinking about your 2nd house, because that's where Saturn's retrograding. Maybe something in your money area is making you rethink who you are and how you appear to the world. But that's what this full moon is about for you. Aquarius rising and Aquarius sun. This is a very spiritual area for you. Oh no, something's wrong with the audio. I will upload the full video onto YouTube for my Instagram people. I wonder if I could rejoin, but that may not help. I don't know how to fix the audio. Oh no, that's my room. Turn back around. Yeah, if this audio keeps messing up on Instagram, I'll upload it later, the full thing. So Aquarius rising, Aquarius sun, 12th house, retreat, self-reflection, transcendence, and release. So this full moon could be a tougher one for Aquarius risings. Okay, it's really kind of asking you to be in your spirit, to be in meditation, to be in self-reflection. But that is where you set intentions in January. So, you know, if something's not working out there for you, Saturn's in your first house of who you are. Okay. So I'm all messed up because now I'm worried about my audio. I wonder if I came back. That's okay. We're not going to worry about that. I'm going to talk to Facebook. I'm just getting for Aquarius risings, though, that this is really going to be about you needing to be in your spiritual retreat area. So if you have a little time tomorrow to go into meditation and be in your quiet space, that's going to be really nice for you. Whatever spiritual intention you set in January is coming to a culmination. And so whatever's changed for you in your outer world, like yourself, who you are with Saturn retrograde there, it's time to come back into this 12th house spiritual area and distill it down and really integrate it. Pisces risings, Pisces suns. This is in your 11th house of friends and networking and goals and long-term aspirations. So that's where you set intentions in January. You know, you could have had all these great, big, huge goals, and then you've gone through some spiritual reflection retreat because Saturn is in your 12th house, Pisces risings. So you may have had this spiritual nudge to change this area. Maybe the people who you've had or the goals you've had in your life have been not living up to what you intended. Maybe you're not having as much joy as you really want or intended to have. So this is going to require some spiritual tweaking for you and redoing majorly. So I would say Aquarius and Pisces risings for this is a very spiritual full moon for you. The rest of you, it's more mundane, but for Pisces and Aquarius risings, it's going to be a little more abstract of a full moon. Okay, I'm also going to type this out because I know that I kind of got like interrupted because of my Instagram audio problems, but that's okay. I will upload the video to YouTube. I will type up these rising signs for you guys so that you have a written way to look at it. And thank you so much for tuning in. I hope that this helps through this full moon. And just remember, it's okay to change your own rules. And don't forget, next week, you may want to commune with the earth. All right, you guys, see you soon.